Out here in the West, when folks think about Parker, Arizona, it conjures up visions of the easy life, boating, the Parker Dam, partying in the sun, and just enjoying life on the Colorado River. But there's somewhere spooky just a little ways away that tells a different story about just how hard the Old West really was. Welcome to Swansea Ghost Town. Prospecting and mining used to be the way of the West, with fortunes made and lost on digging holes for riches, and Swansea was no different. It all began sometime around 1862, but with its remote location and lack of viable transportation, mining was hard and not very profitable. In 1886, silver was found, which sparked a short-term frenzy, but even that soon cooled off when the miners realized silver was very limited, and what they were digging up was nearly worthless copper ore. With the lack of available smelting, the ore had to be taken by mule in the heat of the desert to the Colorado River, where it was shipped to the United Kingdom to the town of Swansea, South Wales, to be smelted and sold. That all started to change around 1904 when the railroad was approaching the nearby town of Parker. Because of the approaching railroad, two local miners, Newton Evans and Thomas Jefferson Kerrigan, got together and seized the opportunity to develop the copper-rich area. In a few short years, Evans and Kerrigan had built a sizable furnace, a water pipeline to the Bill Williams River, and the making of 5 workable mine shafts. The original town was called Signal, and by 1908, the claims in the area had been consolidated by the Clara Gold and Copper Mining Company, which set up its headquarters in the mining camp that would soon become Swansea. Soon after the consolidation, a new name to the area, George Mitchell, was hired to promote the new town and soon became the main narrator in this rags to riches to ghost town story. A metallurgist by trade, Mitchell took to the road to promote the developing town and entice investors to the new venture. Unfortunately, Mitchell wasn't much in the know of running a mining business, let alone curbing his appetite for doing things in a big way, and that was later to unfold. The famed smelter was built in 1909, but because of the flamboyance of George Mitchell, it was too large and cost more to smelt the ore than the ore could be sold. Fortunately, during World War I, the demand for copper increased, and about $1 million of copper ore was shipped out of Swansea. Somewhere around 1910, the Arizona and Swansea Railroad was established that connected the new mining town to Bouse, about 25 miles away. This made it much easier to get the ore from the mine out to be smelted and became the main way in and out of Swansea. In its heyday, Swansea was a bustling town of about 500 with all the amenities, including an auto dealer, a lumber company, the saloon, a barber shop, the physician, and of course the mining and smelting facility. When the war ended and the price of copper slid, so was the beginning of the end of the town. Though the smelter is no longer present, parts of the process, especially the dust chamber, still stand today. The original mining company went bankrupt in 1912, but the town stayed active to about 1924 when it was finally abandoned. Today, thanks to the restoration efforts of the Bureau of Land Management, what remains are the semi-restored single men's barracks, the ruins of the dust chamber, a bunch of piles of tailings, and the foundations of a once booming mining town. The tracks that once connected Swansea to Bouse are no longer part of the landscape as they were uprooted and sold for scrap. Getting to Swansea today is really not that hard, although it's recommended that a 4x4 or at least an all-wheel drive vehicle with some ground clearance be used to get here. The initial road is fairly maintained graded dirt, but the road into the valley where Swansea is located can have its challenges. Depending on if you come from Parker or the town of Bouse, be prepared to be on dirt roads for most of the 30-mile trip here. Today, it's popular for off-roaders and ghost town seekers alike. Before you go, remember that this is a desert, so plan appropriately. You just may be the only ones out here and cell service is non-existent. Also, respect that this is a protected area, and if you wander into a mine, you just might not come back. But in the end, if you're adventurous and you stand atop of one of the tailings, or even near one of the covered mine shafts and just listen, it's kind of creepy. But if you're like me, you'll hear the spirit of the mine come to life. And if you're lucky, you just might hear a miner or two still down in the shaft looking for riches.